Have you ever wondered what it takes to deliver exceptional coaching sessions that truly make an impact on your clients? Today, we are diving into the techniques that can help you conduct effective and transformative coaching sessions. Welcome, everyone. I am Rasheeda Green, the founder and CEO of Get Coaching and the host of this Mompreneur HQ community, as well as the creator of the Digimompreneur Academy. And I am thrilled to have you here with us today as we explore the essential techniques for delivering exceptional coaching sessions. As mom entrepreneurs, it's important to ensure that each coaching session we conduct is impactful and helps our clients reach their goals. Let's dive into the best practices for active listening, powerful questioning, and providing actionable feedback with today's topic: effective coaching strategies, how to conduct impactful client sessions. If you are joining us live, be sure to drop in the comments hashtag live and let us know where you are joining us from so that we can learn of the far and wide reach of the Mompreneur HQ community. If you are watching the replay, certainly put hashtag replay. We won't hate. We're just glad you are participating. So go ahead and do that. We would be able to recognize you for watching our show. Also, if you are getting ready for this show, I want you to grab yourself a pen, pencil, paper, digital device, whatever you need to be able to write down the nuggets that we're going to drop today that's going to help you in your coaching sessions. And feel free to drop any questions that you have in the comments below and any aha moments. Hey, even if you've had experience with doing coaching sessions and you want to share tips of your own, feel free to drop them in the comments below. That way we can address your questions and other people, guess what? Other people might be thinking the same to ask the same thing, but are too afraid to ask. But if you ask it, guess what? We'll be able to address everyone's issue or question at the same time. All right. So we definitely don't want to leave no question unanswered. So put in the comments and we will get right to you. All right. So getting into today's topic, delivering effective coaching strategies and how to conduct impactful client sessions, right? We want to be able to deliver exceptional coaching experience. And with that, we have to start with number one: active listening. There is a difference between coaching and consulting, and sometimes I kind of dabble in both, right? And the difference is you are still helping a client to achieve a goal, but with consulting, you're giving them the play by play, right? You're giving them the instructions in order to achieve their goal, whereas coaching is helping them to discover the answer themselves. So, in order to do that, you would need to be actively listening to what it is that your client is saying. Active listening is the foundation of any successful coaching session, and it involves fully focusing on the client, understanding their perspective, and responding thoughtfully. All right, so how do you do that, Rasheeda? If you were asking, I want you to start by being present. Give your full attention to the client and give it without distraction. That means, hey, you need to turn off the phone, close down some of these screens you got on your computer. Definitely those 722 tabs you got open. We need you to turn off your notifications if possible, maintain eye contact, and show genuine interest in what they're saying, right? And how do we do that? We do that through eye contact. We do that through effective communication by respond, call, almost like a call and response. They're saying something and you're either responding in agreement or you're nodding, things like that. If a client is sharing their struggles with time management, go ahead and nod, as nonverbal communication, right? And then provide verbal affirmations. I understand, or that sounds challenging, so that you show that you're listening and that you're engaged in the conversation. Another thing you want to do is reflect and clarify. Why? Because it's important to know what they're actually saying. So you have to, if that means you have to put in your own words, do that. Reflect back to what the client has said to ensure understanding and then clarify any ambiguities. You don't want to go from a coaching session not really knowing what was said. This, and that's on both parties, right? The coach needs to know what the client is talking about, and the client needs to know what the coach is saying, and that there is no confusion or ambiguity. And this really does help to validate the feelings of your client and demonstrates that, again, you are listening carefully. So what does that sound like? Right, one of the phrases that we say in one of the phrases recommended in active listening is, so what I hear you saying is, right? So whatever they're saying, you do your analysis, you do the translation and how it needs to sound and how it sounded to you, and then you give it back for either confirmation or declination, right? They either say, yes, that is what I was saying, or they will give further explanation to clarify. So you start out by saying, so what I hear you saying is that you're feeling overwhelmed with balancing work and family responsibilities. Is that correct? You come back with the question, because we like questions in coaching. You come back and say, is that correct? That gives them an opportunity to confirm or decline, like I said, so that neither party goes away from the conversation not understanding what is happening. Another thing to add to active listening would be empathy. You want to be able to empathize with your client. So you can show empathy by acknowledging the client's emotions and experiences. This really builds trust and encourages them to open up to you more. Right? This dialogue will now have a different experience because you've opened up, you've empathized, you've allowed them to release, and you give some feedback that you have a level of understanding of what they're saying, right? Doesn't mean that you have to go through that situation or have gone through that situation, but that you can understand or just have a sympathetic heart of to what it is that they're going through. So when you're empathizing, it sounds like you're under a lot of stress right now. It's completely understandable given everything that you're juggling. It's completely understandable. You are not alone in that feeling. These are things that other people have experienced, and you are not an island by yourself. This is not only happening to you. Don't feel that way. Don't feel isolated. I want you to know that this stress that you're telling you about is a real thing. It's you don't have to say those words. As a coach, you want to make sure you say it in the way that allows them to feel comfortable and trust you in what you're saying. But you want to definitely empathize with them. Now, the other strategy that we use is powerful questions. Now, I mentioned to you the difference between a coach and a consultant, right? You call a consultant in to give you the boom. You call a coach in to help you to get where you need to go, help you get a better understanding of what it is that you need to do, or to help you to get out of a rut or whatever the situation is, because there are many coaching, I want to say there are many different types of coaches. So you want to consider that when you are looking for help in certain areas. But as a coach, for effective um, coaching sessions, you want to have some powerful questions. All right, powerful questions. Let's start with asking powerful questions as a key technique to coaching that helps the client gain insight and explore their own thoughts and feelings more deeply. Now, the way we can achieve that when we're talking about powerful questions, the number one question style of question is open-ended questions. You want to use open-ended questions to encourage clients to think more broadly and share more information. Why? Because they actually have to give you detail in order to answer your question. So these are not your closed in yes or no, red or blue. These are open-ended questions that require them to open up to you. And these questions typically start with what, how, or tell me about. So if we wanted to have an example, let's give the example of what do you think is the main obstacle preventing you from achieving your goals? Now, you can't just say yes, right? You're going to have to think about it. These are my goals, but why aren't I getting there? What is preventing me? What are some obstacles? Is it the time management? Is it the lack of support? Is it the lack of finances, right? It requires you to think and then provide an answer. That's why we like open ended questions. And then also, as a coach, you can then take that information, decipher it, translate it, and then give it back or reflect to get an understanding of what they're saying. And then you can kind of coach the situation from there. That would be how you would use those questions to ask more questions. How do you think you will feel when you achieve your goal? What can you do now to become the version of yourself that you want to be? Oh my goodness, that's a good one. That's a good one. What can you do now to become the version of yourself that you want to be? And that's a good question, because oftentimes when we talk about the obstacles, we say, oh, we can't, I have these things are in my way and I can't do this and I can't do that. And I really want to be this, but I can't because of the obstacles. But when you phrase that question, what can you do now to become the version of yourself that you want to be? They think about that version. What is it that I'm looking to be? What is it? I want to be a multimillionaire. You can't get there overnight and dreaming, right? So you need to be able to think, what are the steps that I need to take to be this multimillionaire? Okay, now I know the steps. Where do I start first? And if I know the steps and I know where to start first, I can do that now. I don't have to wait until I'm six-figure earner to say, yeah, I want to be a multimillionaire. You can start taking the steps now to become a multimillionaire. Okay, that's in there. I threw that in there for free, y'all. Okay, I threw that in there for free. But that's the gist. You get it, right? Those questions, those open-ended questions that really get your client to start thinking outside of the box, or thinking about what it is that they really want and how they can go about achieving it. To further that, probing questions. So open, not only do they need to be open-ended, but they need to be probing questions. You want to probe deeper into the client's responses to uncover underlying issues or beliefs, right? We talk about limiting beliefs, things that we have that says we are limited in our ability to achieve our goals. And then we realize, when we start asking those probing questions and peeling back the layers of the onion, we find out that there is a root cause. So, asking probing questions helps you to identify, or at least get to the root of the problem. Why is this limiting belief so prevalent in your life that it's stopping you from the success, the peace, the joy that you so desire? What is it? Why is it? And you keep asking those probing questions until you get down and dirty to what caused it. Maybe when you were growing up, you had food insecurities, or there wasn't a lot. There was your family was poverty stricken, or there was some mental health issues in the family that make you guarded, or any other experience that you may not have connected to your current situation in your business, right? Or whatever it is your client is experiencing. So, asking those probing questions. Can you tell me more about why you feel this way? Or what do you believe is causing this challenge? And, some people, their first response, excuse me, their first response would be, I don't know, I guess because, you know, they may start fumbling and trying to think about it. But then when they really think about it, because it requires them to pull back from back here, some thoughts and memories and experiences, and bring them forward, and then say, oh my gosh, that's what it is. And I'm telling you, as a coach, and having clients to have those aha moments, it's almost painful depending on what the root cause is. I mean, I wasn't there, I didn't have the experience, but the empathy, remember we're talking about empathy, my heart, I feel it when they're going down that rabbit hole and they figure out this might be what's causing this. It's very powerful. So that's why we're talking about effective coaching strategies and how to conduct impactful client sessions. Because when you have these types of questions, and you ask them of your clients, it really does have an effect. And break through, once they have that breakthrough, it's almost like breaking through a wall, right? Actually being able to get past that thing that has been blocking them and their success for so long. Now, let me just also clarify. I talked about the difference between a coach and a consultant, but what a coach is not is a therapist. So, as I mentioned, we ask those probing questions. We help you to get to the root cause of the situation. But if it's something deep, you may want to explore that with an actual therapist, because what we will do as coaches is take that information and help you to plan towards the future, whereas a therapist can help you continue to peel back those layers and really learn how to figure out how to deal with the past and how to live with and grow from the past. And but as a coach, we help you to explore those root causes just for the purpose of exposing them to be able to break through the walls to go forward in whatever you've asked us as a coach to help you with. Okay, so we are not therapists, we're not psychologists. We do use some probing question techniques to help you to get that breakthrough that you need so that you can move forward with the task that you've asked us to do. But we do not provide medical advice. We are not a psychologist or a therapist. I just wanted to put that disclaimer in there for those who may have been thinking, all of those questions, yeah, I sound like y'all doctors or something. We are not. And I want to make that clear. All right. Then the next step, as I slightly indicated, was that we want to ask future oriented questions. Now, these are questions that encourage clients to envision their future and set goals. And this helps them to think about the steps they need to take to achieve their desired outcomes. We talked about that a few moments ago. When we ask these questions, we're probing, we're asking open-ended questions, we're probing, we are going ahead and now addressing any future-oriented questions so that you can get your mind focused on what's ahead and how, and those steps of how we can get there, right? Where do you see yourself in 6 months? And what steps can you take now to get there, right? People ask that question. That's like almost a dating question. That's a career question, right? Well, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 1, 3, 5, and 10 years? We ask those questions in all different professions, also in coaching. And this helps us to help you to map out the plan so that we can hold you accountable to then execute the plan. And with this, we talked about the different types of questions, but there's also a specific technique called the 5 whys, where you ask, and whys, WHY, right? The 5 whys, where you ask a series of why questions to get to the root cause of a problem. So how that might look is you ask your first question, for instance, your open-ended question, and then you follow that with why. First you ask a why question. Why is it that blah? And then you ask why in response of their statement, challenge, or problem. So that's 2 whys. And then you follow up with another why. You can ask a follow up question that starts with why and use that information from the previous answer. And then you keep going down that path. You repeat asking why until you reach the root cause and can eliminate it. The number 5 is not really important. It's just the way to ensure careful thinking, that you're going to keep asking the question until your client is now exposing what is holding them back, why they called you, right? If you're a social media, if they're looking for to write a book and they're not sure if it's for them, you keep asking them why until you figure out based on their responses that they're just scared of being seen, or of people knowing about what they're writing about, or really being vulnerable in such a way, or not succeeding in writing the book, right? Or not getting sales as they would expect when writing a book. So it can be a number of different things, but you might need to ask why 4, 5, 6, or even 7 times, depending on the situation. But you've asked enough times when you get an answer of, I don't know, right? And then that's when that may be something that they may need to take offline to a therapist or psychologist. But, when they deeply, truly, honestly have no more answers to provide, I don't know. Then you can call it quits. 5 whys is generic, but it can be less than that if they can get to the answer, the root cause in less than 5 whys. But if you need to go more, go right ahead. And then going back to our topic of effective coaching strategies, how to conduct impactful coaching sessions, we want to also be able to provide, and this is the third thing, providing actionable feedback. So we started out with active listening. We're listening to our clients. We came back with powerful questions to get a better understanding of what it is they're looking for, and also gotten an understanding of the root cause of their situation. And now we're going to provide actionable feedback. We've taken that information now in, and now we're going to provide feedback that is actionable and constructive and helps clients to understand their progress and areas for improvement. Number one, you want to be specific. Provide specific examples and details in your feedback based on what they've said to make it clear and helpful. Avoid vague or general statements. Now, you done spent however long you spent, if it's a 45-minute session, 30-minute session, 1 hour session, you spent all this time with this client. It would behoove you to have a response or feedback that is relevant to their situation, that tells them that you were present, that you were listening, actively listening, and you understand their problem and you'd like to help them by providing them some insight. If you spend all that time and you come back with some vague or general statements, yeah, visibility is important. And if you can't handle it because, it just seems like a lot for you. So, maybe that's not the route. Or anything just general that just don't sound good. Don't do it. Don't do it. Be specific. Say, I noticed that you tend to postpone tasks when you feel overwhelmed. Let's discuss some strategies to manage your time more effectively. Doesn't that sound a lot better? It sounded like you listened to me when I was telling you I got a lot on my plate. And it sounded like you listened to me when you said, I just really don't know. I feel overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. And so now your response is giving insight. It's a meaningful response. It's not vague, it's specific. I noticed in this particular conversation is postpone tasks. You postpone tasks when you get overwhelmed. You don't do anything. You get frozen, right? And then you say, hey, let's follow up or let's discuss some strategies that can help you get through this. Now, that's a good coaching session right there. If you can come up with that, with a statement like that. You want to balance positive and constructive feedback. So everything is not going to be all kiki, right? We ain't going to be all happy and excited about every single response. Because if there's something blocking and there's something keeping you from going forward, we're not going to be happy about that. We're not going to be excited about that. We're going to address the situation and we're going to help develop a plan to get you to where you want to be. And with that, sometimes it's going to be what my husband called tough love, where you're going to have some honest conversation. Now, again, in love, we're not there to be mean. We're not there to beat you down, browbeat you, or anything else. We are there to help you to achieve your goals, and we should be your cheerleaders. And so, even in being a cheerleader and being your coach, we still have to provide both positive and constructive feedback when needed. So we want to start with the positive feedback. When you're giving your coaching session, you make sure that you're positioning your response in a way that the positive feedback is first. You want to do that to acknowledge the client's strengths and achievements. Then provide constructive feedback on areas of improvement. Now, meanwhile, at the ranch, do you recall me saying provide constructive feedback on areas of improvement? Constructive feedback, meaning we're not beating them down, and areas of improvement, meaning that they're not failures, they're not wrong, but there's different ways that they can improve upon what they've already done. Okay. For example, you've made great progress in setting clear goals for your business. One area we can work on together is creating a more structured schedule to help you stay on track. Okay? Positive first, and constructive criticism, something that's, not that wouldn't be as positive, but something that needs to be addressed or worked on, is what you would close out with. And again, with some type of action, right? We're going to create a structured schedule to help you to stay on track. Another thing in providing actionable feedback is that you want to offer solutions and support. So, again, provide actionable steps and offer your support to help the client implement the feedback that you provided. This empowers them to make positive changes and not harp on the negative or the constructive part of the conversation. So when you say something like, let's set up a weekly planning session to create a detailed schedule for your task, I'll provide you with a template that you can use. This is now me giving of myself, providing a solution and support to be able to help you to get where you need to go. These are some very easy. I only made 3 points, right? We said active listening, powerful questions, and then providing actionable feedback. These are 3 things that are going to help you to be an effective coach and provide impactful coaching sessions, right? Delivering exceptional coaching sessions require a combination of all 3: active listening, powerful questions, and providing actionable feedback. And by mastering these 3 techniques, and if you want to add the 4 whys, that makes 4, but it's all still under powerful questioning. If you can master these 3 techniques, then you can help your clients achieve their goals and make meaningful progress. And so, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, aha moments, make sure you put them in the comments below. And of course, share, subscribe if you love this episode. And if you know somebody who can benefit from the information in this episode, I would greatly appreciate you sharing it, because we are looking at, in this series, we are looking at mom entrepreneurs or business owners who are looking to start a coaching practice or coaching business. And these steps in this series have really been awesome to me in breaking down those steps and those things, skills that you would need for a coaching business. So I want to thank you so much for joining me today. If you're ready to take your coaching sessions to the next level, just go ahead and start implementing these techniques and see the difference they can make. Let's create impactful and transformative experiences for our clients together. You know where to find me. I'm here every week at the Making of the Mompreneur Show, and I am Rasheeda, signing off. Until next time.